on a few things. First, you should have glued in writing linear equations given, this foldable here on page 36. On page 37, this is the paper you should get back from me if you turned it in. Make sure you turn it in correctly because it was a quiz grade. So make sure your answers are correct before you turn it in if you have not turned it in. If you have turned it in, see me, I have it, and it should be glued in on page 37. So to do that, I just folded it over, folded it inside like a French door fold, and then on the outside, I'm just going to write writing linear equations. Writing linear equations. In slope intercept form. So writing linear equations in slope intercept form. Then on page 38, or however you have this, 38, 37, I'm putting in the writing equations application on page 38. This is the paper you should have that talks about how to write linear equation as a continuation when you're given word problems. Don't forget to look for your keywords. Now I have comparing linear functions practice. That's going to go on page 40. Comparing linear functions practice. That's where you're giving two functions. One was in a word problem, one was given into a table or an equation or a graph, and you have to figure out which has the highest rate of change, which one has the greatest initial value, which is your y-intercept. So it gives you different wording, so watch those keywords. This is what it looks like in the inside. Still on page 40, you just fold that in half and glue it in on page 40. The next sheet starts on page 42. This is our next unit, unit 3. And it's modeling linear functions. You can receive that sheet from me. You're going to fold that in half, and you're going to glue it in so that the tab extends out like a bookmark or a tab. That's going to cover page 42 and page 43. It's going to overlap on those two pages. We've done these types of tabs before. The next one we're coming to is the notes that you're going to take on linear versus nonlinear. This is what we're going to take a look at today. So make sure your notebook is up to date with these items. There are a few more items, so I'm just going to take a step back and flip through so you can see what my pages look like and where you need to glue in a pocket or glue in a paper that you have received back from me, okay? So the first place I want to start off with is when you come to that second page where we started the table of contents. Make sure that you are completing your table of contents. As you see, I have started the table of contents here, making sure that my page numbers match what is I'm actually writing in here as my content or my subject area. I need to continue doing mine, so I will continue doing yours. This is for part of your notebook grade that I will be checking soon, so let's get that done. An easy, simple task that weighs a lot of points on your notebook check, okay? Then I'm going to kind of briefly flip my pages so that you can see what they look like. You should be caught up. If not, you need to get caught up, stay for tutoring, look at some of the information that you already have, the paperwork that you already have. So I'm giving you every other page just to give you an idea of what it should look like. Here's page 9 and page 10. Here's a function and not a function, not to be confused with what we're going to do later on in the next video with linear and nonlinear. These are function and not a function. Did some practice. So I'm going to quickly just flip through to see yours should be as organized. Here's one that a lot of people turned in late. You should have a pocket on page 15 talking about domain and range. Inside of there should be your domain and range function notation sheet. Folded that up and it's just a quick pocket. That's on page 15. So that's a sheet that you should have received back. Some of you turned it in late, so you should receive it today. Here's another one that deals with the appropriate domain and range. A lot of you turned that in late as well. This was the matching for domain and range. A lot of people turned that in late as well. It goes in a pocket on page 18. You may want to pause this video and flip through and take your time. You may want to do this at home. Make sure you have these pages. Average rate of change goes on page 20. That was just that single worksheet. And then that unit 2A with the linear functions. Here is the foldable we had that you should have on page 24, showing you how to find the intercepts from a graph, table, and equations. So that when you are confused on some of these exercises, you should know where to find this information. Page 25, I had some people to turn this in just yesterday. This is your X and Y intercepts. This is an example of it. You should create a pocket on page 25. And that piece of information goes there. This is so you have information that you can easily access. Page 27, I'm going to create a pocket. I'm going to use my glue or use your two-sided tape, excuse me, no such thing as three-sided tape. And this is talking about your interpreting function notations. You also had another sheet that was graphing notations and appropriate domain and range. Put that sheet, create your pocket, and put that sheet right there. You can use glue or you can use the double-sided tape. The glue, I'm just going to go ahead and paste 1, 2, and 3. Paste that on there. Be patient, press a little hard on it. And this is on page 27 once again. And create your pocket. The next page is page 29. This is your slope intercept form, standard form, and horizontal and vertical. This is the sheet we did on finding the y-intercept first, plugging in the additional points from each one of those situations, graphing lines. Okay, on page 31 should be your graphing inequalities. We had a video on that, so that should already be in there, as well as your packet that you had for inequalities. A lot of you have not turned this in. You're not to turn in this packet. You're to turn in this answer sheet. With your answer sheet, you're going to take and fold one of these pockets in half. Take one of these pockets, fold it in half. You only need half of it. Then you're going to take, after you turn this into me, it needs to be completed. You receive a late grade for it, but that's better than a 0. I'm folding that up and sliding it right in my pocket. Okay, page 33 is the color activity. A lot of you didn't turn this in. Page 33, color activity. It's the inequality sheet. If you have a 0, that's what this sheet should look like. Find it. The next one we wrote on page 35, we adhered this particular graphic organizer to give us what the slope intercept looks like to break it down into keywords. We even added some words like zero term and initial value or initial. On page 36, should be writing linear equations. And then we're back to kind of where we started, page 37, page 38, page 40, and your new unit page on 42 and 43. So once you're done with that, we're going to start a new talking about a new topic of how to determine whether a line, graph, equation, or situation is linear or nonlinear. They'll be in a different video. And you also need to get caught up on your table of contents. So make sure all of this is done for your notebook check. Notebook check is an easy test grade. Test grade. So for those of you who have never had a 100 on a test grade, easy test grade. Get your notebook and your math life in order. Thank you.